you see what I wrote about talk shows, you could see I already predicted that Jenny Jones and Rivaldo and all them fools would be coming. And I couldn't understand it, so I started taking a poll of why black people avoided culture bandits too. And I kept hearing over and over, all you talking about is black people. You see what? Black people, you talking about black people. I don't want to read about you talking about no black people. I said, well, Jim Brown wrote in his book, Out of Bounds, that he loved to go to Hugh Hefner's Playboy Mansion. And when he walked in, he loved to hear the classical music. That he loved to have lobster and steak whenever he wanted and partake of the finest white women. I didn't write that. He wrote that. When I pointed out to you, because I knew you weren't going to read all these books, that Sammy Davis Jr. was a devil worshiper and was supposed to be at the party when the Manson people came and slaughtered in the Tate Bianca killings. And he said, I only like that because I had access to orgies and white women. He wrote that in his book, Why Me? And all these different books that I came through about Iman and Spencer Haywood. Books like people like Dennis Rodman can write, Unashamed. And the people say, I don't want to read that. You mean you don't want to know the truth? You want to read about Imhotep? Yeah, we be bad. And we had more than one and still got more. But you don't want to go over there and do the hard research. You want to read about Nzinga, Harriet Tubman, Hatshepsut. I read about them too. Love it, upliftment. But I want to read about Maya Angelou, Pearl Bailey, and other Uncle Toms and Uncle Thomasinas. We're getting into this thing wrong. We're not doing objective study. So then I wrote the book Black Holocaust, which really came before Culture Bands too, because everywhere I went, people were saying, they can't kill us all. The hell, y'all crazy. People call me up on the phone in Chicago. Yeah, you're the brother who wrote that Black Holocaust stuff. I said, yeah, they can't kill us all, nor do they want to. We're God's children. Yeah, all right. Spelled backwards is dog. You know what I'm saying? Your gods and their gods ain't the same gods. You know. Black Holocaust, so beyond my imagination. I made it a little book. I didn't get cute. I just came with it raw. Because I got that from Kwame Nkrumah. 2 books the revolutionaries always had on them. The Handbook of Revolutionary Warfare, which we all must read, and Class Struggle in Africa. If you don't read Class Struggle in Africa, you won't understand Africa. That was a product of the colonial mentality and how we can kill each other. Hell, don't tell me about Class Struggle in Africa. Wilson Good dropped a bomb in my neighborhood. He burned up his own children. Once you read and understand class struggle in Africa, not from a Marx and Leninist position, you'll understand how some of us betray we so easily. Black Holocaust took off. It's still the biggest seller I probably will ever have. Then the last book, The Invasion of the Body Snatchers, is a continuation of the Black Holocaust. It amazed me that we would actually trust the demons of death to put things in our bloodstream. Norplant, Prozac, Fridolin. The new thing is nicotine patches, flu shots, immunization. They killing us softly, but not with their song. So these were organic. My next book will be called The Black Warrior. And it will document our strategies and tactics and our heroes and sheroes since the ancient days and take it right on up to 1996. Because the young brother's always looking for when we fought somebody and won. We won in Angola. We won in Mozambique. We won in Guinea-Bissau. We won in Zimbabwe. How do we win wars and don't celebrate? To Until our children actually think we never fought these people. We ain't only fight them, we whip their ass. 1975, Angola, Mozambique, and Guinea-Bissau. 3 countries in 1 year. Portugal collapsed. How come we're not teaching them that? So we end by saying, I'm glad you stayed. We give our humble apologies for being Wrong Way Jones and getting lost in Jersey and going way up the wrong way through West. We got on the other side of West Orange, and we came up with a sign that said the oranges. How the hell is that supposed to be? Say, next stop, the oranges. Heard of East Orange, South Orange, West Orange. What is the oranges? And we just riding. Just to ride. Just, come on, man. Riding. Past West Orange. Then we remembered, because we went to geography class at least one day, and said, well, if we're going through West, East got to be that way. I was almost hoping you weren't here so you'd never see how embarrassed I am. But next time we'll know how to find it smoothly. I don't take the position of other people. I don't take the positions that Africans supposed to wait. I believe in discipline and being on time. But I'm Wrong Way Jones. And I was the navigator. And it won't happen again. We end by saying, African people must love each other. To love each other, you must demonstrate to our behavior that we're willing to sacrifice to take this thing to another level. We end by saying that the death of African people by the millions daily is unacceptable, and this genocidal process doesn't last forever. Somewhere along the line, you're going to run out of people. Yes, sir. Africa. Easy laid. So we must understand clearly that these are serious times. They kill your babies right up in front of you. The Christian right capitalized on the murder and the carnage. The 700 Clubs is on television in almost every African state. The control of information is beginning to get locked down. They brag about there's more information, there's more bullshit. Information you got to find. And I say to you, it is a privilege to be African, but Africans must unite. It is a privilege to be African, but Africans must unite. Times are hard and friends are few. I scream in pain, brother, where are you? Times are hard and friends are few. Brother man, where are you? Storm over the anthill. There's such a famine in the wind. A war for liberation's begun. Little boys become men. Storm over the anthill. Who's my pa? Mother, is she with us? Better check how far. How far? How far? Times are hard and friends are few. I scream in pain, brother, where are you? Times are hard and friends are few. Brother man, where are you? No time for jiving. There's a job to be done. Love those who are comrades. There's a war to be won. Hey, queen, hold my hand. Soul, truth, and wisdom, they're at my command. I'm saying, child, brace yourself. Hold your tears. We'll all die now, then to suffer for years. I'm saying, times are hard and friends are few. I scream in pain, brother, where are you? Times are hard and friends are few. Brother man, sister lady, where are you? I thank you.
Abstain from fighting the brother. What do you think he should do, or what is your opinion on that?
Well, I think it's basically our fault. We believe, because we do not know what revolution is, that there's been a revolution in Azania. There has been no revolution. It's the only thing that's slipped into neo-colonialism. And after Jomo Kenyatta came and been head of the revolution in Kenya, after being in jail for years, and serving the interests of white supremacy all his working days, we should have known that the trick, that revolution means that the land changed hands. If the land has not changed hands, there's been no revolution. If all you got is a theme song, and all you have is a flag, there's been no revolution. Revolution will happen when 87% of the people who only have 13% of the land, when they control all of their land. When they control the institution. A brother, educator from South Africa was on CNN complaining that there has been no schools for black people. Well, if we had won a physical war in South Africa, see, armed struggle has its cleansing process. Then we wouldn't be worried about our children in the same schools with the roof leaking, with old board textbooks. So the sham independence in South Africa has to be revealed for what it is. Neo-colonialism. True revolution would have dumped them little ugly white kids out of our school in our land and put our beautiful black children in them. So the whole world thinks that there has been liberation. And some of the slowest among us are athletes. So we knew already going in when a man fights and gets punched in the face for a living, he ain't too bright. That he don't know that his brains is in his head. Yeah. The whole thing, let's look at another thing. We are so liberal and want to be with white people so much that in the middle of a war, me and Martin Luther King could be in the foxhole. And the white man yell, "Martin, Martin, come out, come out." I said, "What's the matter with you, Martin? Be cool." "Martin, Martin King, come out." "I got to go." "Where you got to go, man? You in the foxhole with me." "Martin, I got to go." "Martin, Martin, on behalf of white supremacy, you get the Nobel Peace Prize." How do you take a prize in the middle of the war from the enemy? No one answered that question. My whole youth, I answered that question. Bishop Tutu, come out, come out. On behalf of white supremacy, you get the Nobel Peace Prize. Well, this last one did it. Nelson Mandela, come out, but bring the clerk with you. And y'all gonna share this award. Do anybody know who Albert Nobel was? What did he come up with? Dynamite. That's their idea of peace. So the sham, because we're not doing critical thinking, and there's nothing wrong with us. We're not backwards. We're not ignorant. We're just not used to thinking with Pan-Africanist thought. We criticize each other. 95% of my criticism of another brother or sister is definitely criticism with affection. There are some that are treasonous I have no affection for. I said they got to be taken out. But the 95% who don't know or use and abuse, let me tell you, Nelson Mandela knows he don't run that country. Oppenheimer still runs that country. De Beers Diamond still own that country. The reason why they had to get South Africa, and this has to be told, this is why I say you have to know African politics. We whipped the white boy's butt in a place called Quitaquatavao in Angola. The South African troops had pushed up through Namibia into Angola and used to come and slaughter and rape our people at will. Well, we trapped that army with a Pan-African force consisting of soldiers from Guinea, Angola, and the Cuban soldiers. Yet we never come to the aid of Cubans, see? When you don't know. The number one principle of Mayat we should never forget is reciprocity. We should always remember, we should be behind Castro now. We have contradictions, but we know what he did in Angola. So we were going to kill that whole army in Quitaquatavao. And the white boys said, wait a minute. What if we left Angola never came back? Oh, say, oh, you ain't coming back. Not where we sending you. All right, wait a minute. What if we turned Namibia over to SWAPO? That's interesting. That's not enough. Well, what if we dismantled apartheid and brought out Nelson Mandela? That's how he got free, through the gun. It wasn't through the soft heart. Look it up. Matter of fact, in my new newspaper, which I'm going to send here, I don't know whether anybody's seen my paper, The Eye of the Storm. Well, it'll be out soon. That's one of the big stories. Through the gun, we liberated it. Okay? Because that's how. How did they take our shit? With the gun. I mean, they didn't pray it away from us. You know? So in the middle of this Holocaust, we forget how we won. The reason why they had to fight so much to free up Southern Africa is that's where the strategic materials to run the space program, the nuclear capabilities, the gold and diamonds, especially industrial diamonds, okay? They would have crumbled if we just controlled the southern region. And from Zimbabwe to Namibia, we had them surrounded. We know they couldn't hold it. Sometimes we come to the peace table too soon because we don't like war. As much as the barbarians they may say we are, we can't touch these people when it comes to war. War is their norm. They were warlike before we came along. And when they have a war, millions of people die. Shall I cite World War I, World War II? But let's also cite the people of Vietnam. There were more bombs dropped in Vietnam than in all of World War II. And they chased the Americans out with their drawers on fire. Because a people united in culture can never be defeated. So the boxer doesn't know because the politician doesn't even know. The whole boycott, the whole thing about Botswana, Sun City, that whole thing, we were involved in boycotting South Africa then. But now the Negro bourgeoisie, if you see Jesse Slaxton, Dr. J, and all of them put their money together and have a little concession to bring Pepsi Cola to South Africa. Your indigenous bourgeois, that's why you got no class struggle. We have a race and a class problem. That if we don't understand the class problem, we wonder why our upper class, Marcus Garvey said it better than I could ever say it. He said, we're a race of people that the people, our doctors and lawyers and the high learned, are the biggest traitors to the race and have no loyalty. So that's why, because this sham independence is going around, and African people are still on the bottom rung. But one last thing on that. We've always supported the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania. We've always supported Steve Biko movement, the Black Consciousness movement, which was a consolidation of many different movements from labor and different types of movements. When Nelson Mandela was brought forth, the very people that we tried to help us with the canned food drive for refugees and clothing jobs for refugees in the neighboring countries of Azania wouldn't help us. Now they walked up to me, Brother Dow, you going to see Mandela? I said, no, I ain't going to see no Mandela. You're not down with that? I said, we've been fighting Mandela for years. Have you ever read the Freedom Charter? He was always an integrationist. Integration won't do. Well, I support him. People lined up out in the street. A ticker tape parade for a black revolutionary in New York. Come on. Critical thinking should have told you something was up. A ticket, yeah. Yankee Stadium full of people. And Mandela walked on with a New York Yankee jacket and a New York Yankee cap. And he said, now you know who I am. I'm a Yankee. On Ted Koppel's show that night, Reverend Butts, you know him, but he asked a good question. He said, in the light of Tawana Brawley, Bensonhurst, and the other incidents, do you really think the United States government will really be good for the people of South Africa? You know what he said? I do not dabble in the internal politics of another nation. I said, you flaming faggot. We fought, we demonstrated, we raised money for our brothers and sisters in Azania. And you mean when it comes to my tribe, Nobody never has tried for my tribe. We helped the people in Zimbabwe. We went to Zimbabwe, and half those ambassadors and people with the liberation movement who hide out my house, put my family at risk, who we fed, clothed, and protected, wouldn't even see us. Well, let me tell you something. We are a tribe, a common tribe that segues into the whole African family. And we want reciprocity. We never get it. We raise money. We raise so much canned food we couldn't find it. We don't ask for your thanks. We ask for reciprocity. Nowhere could I go when and if the United States gets on my ass. Nowhere. Secretary say you can come here and become a junior ambassador because you have dual citizenship. Nowhere are they seriously discussing we. We are a powerful tribe, and we need to stop getting dissed. A brother told us one time from Zimbabwe, he said, my Pan-African brothers, if you think when Robert Mugabe takes over Zimbabwe, they're going to want to struggle for Pan-Africanism, you're wrong. They're going to want their little kingdom. They want to become rulers and enriched. And you know how you look at somebody and you have much respect, but you don't know the answer. It has to play out. And it plays out. At this time in my life, I thought I'd be sitting across from the Indian Ocean writing poetry to a queen. But we know we can't leave now because we're about to be annihilated and everybody comes to the front. Everybody. But we're not respected. In Jamaica, they'll tell me, say, what's the difference between you and Farrakhan? I said, well, if you don't know, you got a problem. What, you're just more radical. Then that's the difference. You answered your own question. Well, what about, are you brothers and sisters in the United? I was on Muta Baruka's show. A caller calls and asks me a question like this. It seems to me that with OJ going on and all this, the black American ain't what he used to be. And I said, first of all, there's no such thing as a black American. Second of all, who are you talking to? And you asked them one-on-one, who are you talking to? What are we, shit? We're in the belly of the beast. And we'll fight ourselves to the last man. We ought to be respected like you, and we can have a Pan-African reality. Garvey went all over the world. When he came here, we were ready for him. We didn't see him as Jamaican. We seen him as African with one hell of a program. I know, brother, from going down into the southern region, there are brothers and sisters in the southern region that loves us to death. But they never come to power. Do you know in Zimbabwe, they got Harare and they got Old Harare, which is the ghetto? Do you know as me and Deke walked through Harare on our first night in Zimbabwe, that it was manned by African troops, that Africans are not allowed to walk to downtown Zimbabwe at night because Oppenheimer said he don't want niggers in town. So when you travel with your eyes open, and as a war correspondent, I can't report from home or Ivory Tower. I got to go see what's happening and who's doing what. But in South Africa, I was always impressed. We was in Zimbabwe, to make a long story short, and they were going to have, they had the boss, what's his name, Bruce Springsteen, all these people, and some silly little girl named Tracy Chapman, and they're going to have this big show. What they were really having a show to secretly break the boycott of South Africa. So they had the party in Zimbabwe. Do you know that as we were out there, that the black consciousness movement came in, all these South Africans have legitimately came across a border that I can't even come by without papers. That's a problem, isn't it, brother? In Africa, the balkanization in these so-called states that they carved up at the Berlin Conference crossed ethnic lineage barriers and tribal lines and everything. So we should be able to move in Africa freely. But we're going to have to get those dictators and military leaders out of here. But the equivalent to them is the Wilson Goods who drop bombs, the Marion Barrys, and these collaborators. And let me say this while the camera is rolling. Farrakhan was offered the money from Gaddafi to go into Zaire and meet with Mobutu Sese to ask him, would they allow Arab troops to come up through Zaire, or what we know as Congo, and attack the southern Sudan. And you brothers and sisters who know about war, the fighting is up here, then the women and children are down here. That's what, no Arab give you no $1 billion. Come on, y'all. They don't nobody give you nothing, especially $1 billion. And they were going to come through Zaire, Arabs now. Remember, Arabs couldn't take Africa without collaboration. So when you hear somebody's getting personally now, $1 billion, you know how much money, that's more than the gross national product of a lot of our nations that go to our people. When somebody getting paid, check out, follow the money trail. And we must understand that. It's not no argument over Islam or anti-Islam. It's an argument of politics and politricks. Could you imagine how we would feel if we woke up and CNN said that Arab troops have come through the south of the Sudan and now are wiping out the Sudanese people, and they came through Zaire? Let me tell you, in case you don't know who Mobutu is. Mobutu is the sucker, Colonel Joseph Mobutu, whose wife's name was Marie Antoinette Mobutu, who helped take Lumumba down. He's been in power ever since. There are no hospitals in Zaire. He allowed the Center for Disease Control to test Ebola in Zaire on his people. He is one of the richest men on the earth. He stays in a palace guarded by Korean troops. That's why I say, once you study what's happening in Africa, you would have no problem of understanding the whole deal. So when they say coming through the Sudan, they're desperate. The Arabs got money but no land. They'd pay anybody to get some of that sweet African land. So with Mobutu and the Arabs and the Farrakhans operating in the north, and with Mandela and Oppenheimer and them coming to the south, Africa is under siege. It's something that if we know, we can reverse. It's something we don't pretend we know. Now, I don't get no points to this. You should see my email. I don't get no points for having it and getting a bad position where I've got to tell it on other Africans. But if you're wrong, you're wrong. And one of the biggest reasons why Farrakhan can operate is fear. We never brought closure to the death of Malcolm X, to the point that his sister said, his daughter said, to hell with it. If the men ain't gonna do it, I'll do it, damn it. By any means necessary. I know who killed my daddy. We haven't brought closure to Karinga. We let him build a holiday. The same one who set up Black Panthers in ambushes at UCLA and other places. The same one who tortured his wife and another woman brutally, sticking bottles in their vagina, using electrical shocks. And the FBI saved him.